Hello everyone, my name is Alan. I would like to tell you about my not quite ordinary school. Generally, at first, it was a great joy for me to get there because the school is new and it was opened by the mayor of our city, who, by the way, we chose relatively recently. In our city, there was an acute shortage of education institutions, and if a good school, it was expensive. And the mayor, by opening this one with the facilities, promised 300 places for gifted children from poor families. All that was required was an exam. The rest of the places, as you understood, were for the rich. The city quickly gathered those who wanted to study there. Of course, the level of education, the conditions, there was only one bathroom that looked like a wow. Anyway, as you have guessed, I got there. I passed my exams. Actually, my parents did not even hope, so they did not apply, and I did it myself, decided to take a risk, and I passed. When I told my mum and dad, they were very surprised and didn't believe me, and only when we got the official letter of admission finally congratulated me. On this occasion, Mum cooked a festive dinner, stewed potatoes. "Today is a big day for us. My oldest son got into the best school, by himself, without any help, not even our support. Son, I'm very ashamed that I underestimated your abilities, really. I promise I won't let it happen again." "Yes, son, when you told us about it for the first time, I realized that actually, if me and Dad had paid more attention to you, you would have achieved more by now." And then Mum cried. I didn't go like, yeah, you didn't believe in me, I'm so cool. No, I decided to put their feelings of shame and guilt before me to rest. Mum, Dad, you gave me everything you could, and I sincerely thank you for it. Honestly, I didn't think I would make it there myself, but the exams were really easy, so I'm going to the best school in town. I promise to be the most promising student. Hooray! We raised our glasses of mineral water and proceeded to lunch. Just so you understand, we didn't eat potatoes very often. We couldn't even afford them very often. And so, on the first day of school, 300 students out of 1,500. We were clearly different from the rich. The elite even smelled more beautiful than us with cheap soap. They squinted at us, and we looked at them with rapt attention. It was not without adventure. In the first class, we didn't share seats. I wanted to sit closer to the teacher because of my bad eyesight, but Rachel, kind of a local star, came up to me. This is my seat actually. Would you mind moving over? There's a bad smell coming out of it." "Where does it say it's your seat?" "What did you say?" "They say what? I thought rich people were more educated." "Babe, I'm being harassed by homeless people." "Who?" "Austin is her boyfriend. He's a cock like her, only in the male gender. You know, they're the perfect couple. One clucking, the other one getting blown up and clucking too. These guys don't pose a threat. They just yell and that's it. Unlike Nathan. That kid ran the place. Not only was he rich, but his father was the main sponsor of the building of this school. But it wasn't just that. Nathan could knock him out with one punch. I saw that for myself one day. Because of my principles, I didn't get up from my seat. I wouldn't give in. Nathan came over. I snapped at him and he knocked me out. The best part was that the teacher just brought me to my senses and didn't say a word to Nathan. On the contrary, she apologized for the inconvenience. After this incident, all the other poor people kind of shut up. They generally became the quietest, the lowest of the grass. I didn't like it because we did not come here because of connections, not because of status, and not because of parents. We came here because of intelligence. It gave me confidence. But the most interesting thing was waiting for us. After a week, the school announced a sports competition. The prize was $300 for a team of 5. Only the boys participated. It was strange, but it was even stranger that we were divided into rich and poor. I and 4 other people came to the gym at the appointed time. There was security at the entrance. I thought that the competition would be held in the gymnasium, but it was held in the basement room. The whole thing looked like a no-holds-barred fight in an old dirty pool. A bunch of people and 10 students. We were given some cards with tasks, like a quest. We had to run around the ground floor and do the tasks. To be honest, my boys were a little intimidated. "Are we going to compete here?" "I guess so." "It's so dirty. I don't really feel like it." "Would you like to win the money?" "Money, yes." "Well, that's it." "I think we're going to lose." "You say that we will lose. Do not even think about it. Why are we worse? We are smart and we can do anything." I wish everyone had the same attitude as you. Toby, be yourself. Don't be them. We don't have money, but we have brains. My speech inspired the guys a little bit, and we set the mood to win. After a couple of minutes, we were led into another room with the lights off. We had to find a clue, but to get it, one had to do 45 squats in 2 minutes. One had to do 10 push-ups in 4 minutes. One had to hold his breath for 1 minute, and so on for everyone in the dark. I'll hold my breath. Toby, it's okay. Just don't choke while you're holding your breath. I don't want to have to answer your mum later. With each round, the time for the tasks was reduced, and for breath holding increased. While we were already exhausted, we were running, looking for the right room. All of this lasted about an hour. We were without water, food, and flashlights. One of my guys fainted. The other 2 felt nauseous. I was the most resilient, but I was running out of strength too. That's it, I can't take it anymore. Toby, you're the most passive here. Come on, do shit. Okay, I'll take 40% of my winnings. Fuck you, alright? We'll split it evenly. Then we decided that that's it. We can no longer move on, and decided to look for a way out. Out of my last strength, I groped for a door and pushed it, but it was locked. The voice on the microphone said that the door could not be kicked in, as we had no key. We no longer modem. We surrender. Let us out. According to the rules of the competition, you have no right to refuse. You have to find the key to get out. This is ridiculous. I hit the door with my shoulder. I felt pain, but couldn't give up. The guys joined in. We started kicking and kicking the door together. We acted in sync, and bang! The door opened. We fell to the floor, and the bright light blinded our eyes. After catching my breath, I got up from my knees and looked around. All around us sat our rich classmates. None of the adults were there anymore. The guys were sitting, sipping lemonade on their chairs, and there was a huge screen hanging on the wall that showed the room we came out of. I don't get it. When did you get through all of them? And who told you that we went through at all? But you came in with us. And then you came out. What? Is this a prank? Let's just say it's a poor man's quest. If you show off again, we'll do more than that, okay? What? What are we, some kind of circus dogs to you? Haha, sounds funny, I like it. Funny? Do you think that's funny? Look at them. Our classmates are lying half-conscious, and you think it's funny? Survival of the richest. The anger was overwhelming me. I was exhausted, but still I went upstairs, and Nathan came over to me. I don't know how I got so much aggression, but I just punched him in the jaw as hard as I could, and he dropped dead. There was silence in the room. I took out my phone and filmed the whole thing, then walked out of the school and went straight to the mayor's office. His secretary didn't want to let me in, but I yelled and said that if he didn't see me now, the video of the mockery and bullying would be online in a minute. The mayor heard that and accepted it. I told him everything that had happened and promised him that if he didn't eliminate social discrimination under his nose, I would raise the kind of scandal that would be heard in neighbouring states. I guarantee that a school with a perfect reputation will go down. You will be sued. You will be removed from office, and this will be only the beginning of an uprising. Did you hear me? Yes, I heard you, and I assure you that I will take all necessary measures within the law. The law is not written for the rich. As they are with us, so are we. I'm waiting for some drastic measures, maybe even radical. Of course, the mayor was reluctant, but agreed to my terms. A week later, the basement was closed completely. The rich people were interviewed, just like their parents. From the moment we asserted our rights, no one touched us, humiliated us, or even dared to look at us obliquely. I really wanted us, students, not to be divided according to rich or poor, since I came to this school because of a fair exam. I will teach by right, that this is my place. What do you guys think? How do you like this way out of the situation? What would you do if you were me?
Hi, my name is Dan. I don't want to sound unassuming, but if you haven't met any guys who don't have a lot of nobility or something, well, I'm one of them. I'm joking, and I'm not joking. In short, listen to my story. I guarantee you will be intrigued. And yes, I will be happy if you write your opinion in the comments, as well as like my story. Anyway, at first we lived as a small family. Dad, Mom, Sister Abby, and me. We lived like everyone else. Abby and I went to school, and my parents worked. We did not often relax with the family. Recently, we used to like to skate, and go to the movies together, or just sit at home and watch something, discuss, play Monopoly, and then entertainment became less and less. Abby and I have already asked our parents to sit with us, but each time we heard some excuses, especially from my mother, and then it turned out that she wanted to leave us. Yes, it was a nightmare. We didn't even believe it at first, but when my mother packed her bags and said that she had another one, it was a huge blow for our father. I was even afraid that he would never come to his senses, but little by little, we began to cope. Several years have passed since that moment, and I still remember how my mother ran out of the house to the taxi that arrived and did not even turn around. Of course, I was so angry. Abby was more upset, and Dad was in shock. And so, as soon as we all came to our senses, Dad gave us a gift. Guess what? I already had a bad feeling that day. I knew something bad was going to happen. I'd missed the first class, which was an important test. The teacher was mad at me, sent me to retake, and Abby had fallen off her bike that day and hurt her leg. I rushed to the medicine cabinet, but there wasn't even a green card. My mood was already spoiled. In the evening, we were waiting for my father. He promised to bring us delicious food and a restaurant. In the end, we set the table and were already hungry and waiting for my father, when suddenly the door opened and a woman came in instead of my father. Dad followed her in with a bunch of bags in his hands, and there was food. We got up and said hello like well-behaved children, took the package, and started unloading them. The lady said we were really cute and ran to wash our hands and then started helping us. We looked at her questioningly, but it wasn't proper to ask her out loud in front of a guest, so we just didn't say anything. It was just before dinner started that the father said the woman's name was Miss Tiara, but she interrupted him and told us to just call her Tiara. We also introduced ourselves and started eating. Judging by the dinner, and the way father carefully tended to her, it was obvious that they were dating, and not so long ago. When dinner was over, Abby and I went to our rooms. Before going to bed, Abby said she didn't like Miss Tiara, but I asked her to wait for her conclusions. After all, our dad is lonely, and it's normal for him to start a relationship all these years later. Our mother probably has her own family for a long time. Abby lowered her head and lay down on the bed. I made her promise not to tell my dad her opinion yet, at least until he officially made a statement. She agreed. Tiara had come to our house several times in the past week, and Abby still hadn't kept her promise. Tiara, she said to her as Miss picked up a glass of juice and sipped it slowly, "Are you sleeping with my father?" At that moment, Miss's nose was full of juice. My father was choking on the meat, and I was all smiles. Father scolded her for asking such a direct question, but Tiara stopped him. She told Abby that she and Dad are dating, and she really hopes to be friends with us. My sister said that our family doesn't need such friends. "We're fine without you," she said. Dad scolded her again, and I excused myself, took her hand, and led her into the room. I talked to her, asked her not to do it again, and asked her to give my father a chance. After dinner, of course, we both had a lecture from my father. I asked him if he intended to marry her, to which my father did not answer clearly. Abby said she didn't like the tiara, but Dad asked her not to be jealous and to give her time to prove herself. Then he went to his room. At night of the same day, my father received a call from work and was told to go on a business trip urgently. This didn't happen before, so we were very confused. I didn't know what to do with Abby, even though she was already going to school, but she still seemed like a child to me. Dad immediately called Tiara and asked her to come. Yes, she agreed to look after us for a couple of days in his absence. It was polite of her, but Abby was hysterical. We quickly saw my father off and went to bed. Abby came to my room to talk. She said she didn't trust the woman, and I explained that she was just jealous of father, but that sooner or later he would get married. At that time, we had no idea what was waiting for us. Abby and I stayed up late that night. I passed out, and my sister couldn't sleep, so she went out for a drink of water. She woke me up in the middle of the night, and I didn't even know what was going on. Abby was frantic about Tiara going through Dad's things, but I didn't think it was strange. Let her dig. In the morning, we woke up to the gorgeous smell of pancakes. It turned out that Tiara made us breakfast, which was nice, and I thanked her for it, but Abby didn't even touch it. Then Tiara said that she wanted to make friends with us, so she came up with some games for us, and walks in the park. I thought it was a good idea, and Abby didn't say anything, but I dressed her and we went to the park. After walking for a couple of hours, we got hungry and returned home. While I was changing, Abby noticed something strange in the house, and she said that Tiara had found Dad's vault and was trying to break into it. And I didn't like it anymore. I went into my father's room, and Tiara quickly jumped out of there. "Oh, I thought you were asleep. Don't you sleep during the day?" She laughed nervously. Abby called her a thief and chased her out of the house. I asked her to leave politely and watched her go with a very unkind look. We called my father and asked him to come. An hour later, the doorbell rang. Wow, is Dad that fast? I opened the door, and there were police officers and a tear-stained tiara. The uniformed man said they needed to talk to their father, but when they found out he wasn't there, he wanted to take Abby to the station. To my questions, he said that she was suspected of stealing someone else's ring. Her, the policeman said, pointed at the tiara. What? I asked. Yes, this is a mistake. It can't be. We see it for the first time in our lives, I shouted, but everything turned out to be useless. Tiara ran into our house and started turning everything over, and then opened the safe and pulled out her ring. Can you imagine my face? Abby started crying. I was in shock. I didn't know what to do. And then he said I did it. I took all the blame. They took me to the station, and I told Abby to wait for Father. After a few hours of waiting, my father arrived. He didn't know how to react, and the tearful Tiara rushed to his shoulder to cry. I didn't say anything. I knew he wouldn't believe me. He didn't take anything Abby said, because we're the only ones who know the code to the safe. And just when I thought I was really going to jail, Abby suddenly dragged my father home. She asked him to trust her, but I didn't know what she was up to. It turns out that our little smart girl remembered about the video cameras in our house. Dad looked at the records and saw everything for himself, then saved them and gave them to the police. I was released, and Tiara was put in my place. It turned out that she wanted to get rid of us, his children, so that we wouldn't get in her way. She only wanted to arrange their personal life, but we were superfluous there. It's a good thing we installed cameras a long time ago. My father was in shock, and for a long time asked us for forgiveness. Did you like our story? Then put likes, comment, and be sure to subscribe to the channel, friends.